I had my first diagnosis with cancer in 2009 when I was 8 years old. In the last 16 years, I've had 6 bouts of cancer, 3 of them being reoccurrences. And at first, my mom and I were quite scared of palliative care because when most people think of it, it's like end-of-life care. But it really isn't like that. It's more like people to talk to, I guess you could say.
One of the things that we help in thinking about support is how can we help this family's individualized experience be better here in the hospital.
They'll play to your feelings as well, like whether you want to talk about your stuff or just be distracted from it. Like a doctor-therapist, kind of.
Hey guys. Hi. Being on the other side as a patient is really scary. There's this sort of sense of lack of control and helplessness, and this feeling of how do I know what's going on? How do I make decisions for myself? How do I understand where things are going in the future? And one of the things that I wanted to do was how can we make that better for the families that we meet so that hopefully, even though there's a lot of uncertainty, how do we sit in that uncertainty with families and help them feel supported even as they're trying to face a future where things may not be clear?
In the cancer world, I guess you could say, it's rough, and it's a lot of hard battles and stuff like that. So I always looked at Dr. Grace as an advocate for the way of life. I guess it's nice talking to people. It's it's like little therapy sessions. It's cool. And it's just they're easy to talk to, and they're very nice people. And it's not just Dr. Grace, it's the whole palliative care team.
Why did you put the toothbrush on the ground?
Ellie was born with a heart condition, a heart defect rather. Essentially, she has half a heart. It turned my husband and I into a whirlwind. First time we heard those words, palliative care, it was pretty scary.
It's one of the misconceptions that I think people think about with palliative care is that palliative care is about death and dying. And really, I like to think of palliative care when I speak with families as about life and how do we allow our families and our children to live the best lives possible.
That's when we met Grace. She came in, and at the time we just had so many questions, but it seemed that Grace's team was the only team that was able to really sit down and sort of put everything together for us in a non-judgment manner. We really appreciated that, and that was something that I really remembered.
Some of the ways that we're helpful for families is we can help with communication and between the medical teams, between the different providers caring for the child, because being in the hospital is terrifying, and sometimes there's just so much information coming at you. It's hard to feel like you understand everything that's going on, or that you may need help sort of understanding or processing what's going on.
For us, she took the time to try to relate to us as people. A lot of times we would get into personal conversations, like hobbies, things that we do. And for the moment, it takes us away from the reality. And I really appreciated that from her because it just makes that next time that we see her a lot easier and comforting.
When I tell families support, a lot of them are I don't really know what that means. And so I tell them support looks different for every family because every family is very different in how they are coping with their illness or with their hospitalization.
We spend so much time worrying instead of spending the time with your child. No, tomorrow's not guaranteed for anyone. Do you want to spend all your days Googling, worrying, crying, when you could spend more time with your child, making her laugh, smile, building memories? That's what I learned. That's the most important thing.
Palliative care to me does not necessarily mean end of life. The palliative care team is there to support you. It's just to help bridge any of those gaps that you may have in your child's medical care.